I'm reviewing Interstellar. Hi everyone, CK Birch here. I occasionally do things like this. Welcome to my geek review of Interstellar. Man, I haven't done one of these in like an official, full-on, actual My Geek review in so long. I did one recently for the Force Awakens trailer, and so that kind of was me kind of getting back into the swing of things. But I thought, if I'm gonna do an actual My Geek review, I might as well do a My Geek review on something I'm going to geek out about, and that is Interstellar. I have now seen the movie twice, both times in IMAX. So that is how I will be reviewing this film, as the IMAX version of the film, because Christopher Nolan, who directed the film, shot a lot of this film in IMAX, for IMAX screens. Not all of it, but quite a lot of it. And so the difference in quality and the difference in how the screen and shots are composed and presented is very evident in that. So I'll be reviewing the IMAX version of the film. But let's start off with the basics. The basics is about humanity is dying. There is a thing called blight. It attacks crops. It comes in the form of dust. Not only does it attack crops, but if it gets in your lungs, you could definitely die from that as well. So people are very careful about this dust that gets everywhere. Literally, it gets everywhere. It comes swooping down over hills. It goes flying over canyons, cities. It comes in big storms. People are very wary of this. When we come into this unspecified point in time in the future, and when I say unspecified, I mean like this could be like 50 years from now. Like the way that the film kind of presents itself. It could be like 50 years in the future. Because of the way that they talk about the past, they talk about the population of the Earth, they talk about how things just are in general with the Earth. But it's an unspecified point in time. But by the time we get there, corn is the only thing that's able to grow. Okra is on its way out the door. So there are fields and fields and fields of corn, and people can really only eat corn. Now that I think about it, I didn't see any animals in the film. They don't have animals. I think wildlife has died off. That's not actually said overtly, but I was literally just thinking about it, and I'm like, I didn't see a single animal. I think I might have, no, not even birds. No birds, no animals whatsoever. Something to take away. Anyways, point of the story is Cooper, played by Matthew McConaughey, is led to NASA by a mysterious force, a ghost that his daughter, Murphy, sees in her bedroom. Doesn't really see it, but she sees the effects of it. Books come flying off of her bookshelf, knocking things over, leaving messages in Morse code. And then during one particular dust storm, Cooper notices that the way that the dust is settling on the ground is in particular lines, in binary code, which leads him to NASA. And it turns out that NASA has been secretly funding a plan to not heal. See, I'm just so giddy about it. I'm just like, what's the information? They're trying to save the human race. So you got Michael Caine playing Professor Brand, and you've got Anne Hathaway, who plays his daughter, Amelia. They're basically the heads of the operation. They're trying to find a way to get mankind off the Earth and to save it from extinction. And if they can find a way to do that, then what they're looking to do is they're looking to colonize a distant planet that happens to be in another galaxy, another solar system. There's a wormhole that's opened up near Saturn that they have sent explorers through in order to find habitable worlds to save the human race, either by taking them off of the Earth, if possible, or by just simply recolonizing using viable fertilized eggs. So the whole plot of the movie is that Cooper is going to go. He's going to be the pilot for the mission in order to save his daughter, his family's future. His daughter doesn't want any of it. She thinks he's just taking off and abandoning her. So the main emotional current of the film is as Cooper goes off on this draining, emotionally, physically, mentally taxing journey. His daughter is going through one as well, an emotional journey, as she grows up thinking that her dad just left her. And she becomes a scientist working for NASA, trying to solve the equation of how to get human beings off the planet. I'm not going to recap the entirety of the film, although I'm looking at the timer in the corner of the screen and I practically have. That's the general gist of it. And that is really all you need to know. There's going to be some wonderful, wonderful imagery in this movie. There's going to be some somewhat cheesy dialogue here and there, a little ham-fisted. But for me, this is the kind of movie that you experience. This is a film in which it's about the emotional response of the film. It's a roller coaster. It is an action film. It is a science fiction film. It is a drama. It is a scary film. It is experimental. It is very traditional. There are so many things going on in this film simultaneously, and that kind of like shift here and there, that the film I don't think is necessarily trying to fit into any one category, any one subgenre of science fiction or of film even. It's just trying to be a film that presents an experience to you. It's trying to tell a story and to involve you in it and to draw you in. And so for me, watching this movie, I was completely and totally drawn in. Number one, the direction is impeccable. We're talking about Christopher Nolan here. Inception, The Prestige, the Dark Knight films, with the exception of The Dark Knight Rises. I don't like that movie. I felt like a very strange misstep for Nolan was with The Dark Knight Rises, and I'm not 100% sure why that is. But the direction here is impeccable. It's absolutely on point. Every shot it feels like it's effortlessly composed. It feels like the script is also effortlessly composed. It tells you a story that when you look back, you go, oh, I should have seen that coming. Oh, I should have seen that coming. And I'm sure a lot of people are probably, for the people who watch movies and go, try to stay one step ahead, they'll probably see how things are going to line up before they even line up. But I don't think that's necessarily the point. I don't think the point is necessarily for the audience to be blindsided by any particular plot twists. I think the point of the film is to capture the audience's imagination, to suspend their disbelief, and draw them on this journey, suck them into the thrills, the chills, the emotions, just everything about this movie. It's designed to pull the audience in and go, let's have an experience. And that's exactly what I feel like it does. It's a long movie. It'll try your patience. 2 hours and 50 minutes, if I remember correctly. But it's one that I feel did not lapse as far as capturing my attention. Even the second time. You go and watch a 3-hour movie the second time, and you expect to go, okay, I know this part, I know this part, I know what's coming up. I found that sometimes watching a movie for the second time, the movie feels longer because now you know what's happening. It's kind of like the difference between driving to get somewhere and then driving home. Usually, it's like when you're driving to go somewhere, you're trying to get somewhere, you're trying to make sure you get. It kind of feels like it takes forever to get to where you're going, because you're like moving. Where am I? Traffic, the whole 9 yards. Then you drive home, and it feels like it takes no time at all. That was the worst analogy. I just didn't. No, that was the worst. Anyways, moving on. Watching it the second time, I was still just as into the movie. In fact, when I watched the movie the first time, I felt like the ending kind of stretched itself out a little bit. Like I didn't quite get what was going on. Like I didn't understand why we were where we were, and I didn't understand why they felt like they needed to stretch it out for like another 5-10 minutes. Watching it the second time, everything just made sense. Everything fell into place once more, and I was totally okay with how the movie ended. In fact, I love how the movie ends. I actually really, truly like the ending, where I kind of walked away like, now I love it. I absolutely love it. And there's so much emotional catharsis that comes out of it. And it isn't out of the ending, per se. Because, now, spoilers, the film is about the connection between a man and his daughter. He is out there trying to save the world for his family's sake, ultimately for his daughter's sake. Because, his son stays in contact with him as best as he can, but then his son, after so many years of waiting for his father to return, decides, like, I'm gonna give up. You're not coming back. I know you're not coming back. But his daughter, who, when he left, refused to say goodbye, refused to let him go, refused to give him any sort of benefit of the doubt, like, oh, you're coming back. I know you're coming back. She refused to give him any sort of benefit there. And after years and years and years of trying to figure out whether A, he was coming back, B, if he had left her there to die, C, what the hell she was even doing, it all comes together in this emotional catharsis in a scene where it's revealed that Cooper was the ghost in Murph's bedroom. The way that happens is that these aliens that have opened up this wormhole, they have the ability to play with gravity. Gravity has the ability to transcend both time and space. So what they do is that in an effort to allow Anne Hathaway's character, Amelia, to be able to go off to the final potential planet and repopulate the species, how's the best way to put it? They try to slingshot around the black hole that all these planets are in orbit of, but they have to shed weight. So Cooper is in one of the little shuttles on the side of the ship, and he allows himself to detach. Well, in going through the black hole, he crosses through the realm of these five-dimensional beings for whom gravity and time is just as much an actual thing as this mug in my hands. It's measurable. It's a construct for them. As Amelia put it in the film, it's like the past is a canyon they can climb down to, and the future is a mountain that they can climb up. We never really get any overt answers as to what these aliens are, aside from dialogue from Cooper himself. But I don't a couple of people criticized the film for being a little too expository and for being a little too on the nose about what's going on. Like, oh, well, they kind of fed us all the information, so we don't need to think for ourselves. And I don't think that's actually necessarily true. I think that in the sequence where Cooper is in the alien Tesseract, when he's there, he's not really getting all the information aside from the fact that he knows he can communicate with his daughter through time. And he makes a statement saying that, oh, it's us. It's my Matthew McConaughey. It's us. No, I can't. He says it's us. Human beings at some point in the future evolved to the point where they could cross time, space, and gravity. And we built this so that we could help ourselves. I took that as more of his assumption of what was going on. Because, it isn't necessarily true. It isn't necessarily the way that the film has to be interpreted. We already know that Christopher Nolan plays with what he feeds us as an audience. We know that. From Inception and The Prestige, we know that Nolan plays on what the audience is being told. So, for a film like this, which does have some ham-fisted dialogue, which does have a little bit of cheesiness to it here and there, it could very well be that that is what is going on. That Cooper hit it on the head, and that these are humans from the future opening up wormholes and setting things up so that the human race can save itself. I mean, after all, there's a part where when they first go through the wormhole, Amelia holds out her hand to this gravitational distortion, and she called it their first handshake. It's revealed later on it was actually Cooper as he fell out of the alien tesseract. He saw them again, and he grasped her hand. So even though it wasn't necessarily saying that the alien was the one touching Amelia's hand, that doesn't necessarily mean it isn't aliens or fifth-dimensional beings. I'm just saying that just because one person, one character, with little to no knowledge of what was going on, aside from the fact that he was given the opportunity to communicate with his daughter in the past, just because he's making an assumption about what it is, it doesn't necessarily mean that that is what it is in the story. I think you could still draw conclusions from it. I think you could still go, and like let your brain expand a little bit. The film definitely is experimental in both visuals and soundtrack. The score is brilliant. Get the deluxe version on iTunes. Just do it. It's about as complete as it'll get. I don't think you necessarily need the illuminated Star Project version with all 48 tracks or whatever. Get the iTunes version. It's got the docking music. That's all you need to know. This film, for me, the second time around, was every bit as thrilling and enthralling as the first time that I saw it. When the visuals and the score and the acting pull you in. Everybody's on point. There isn't a single piece of acting, even from the kids, and normally it's the kids that have the worst time, the worst criticism from film critics, I think. I have an 8-year-old daughter. She's going to be 9 soon, and Murph, in the film, as a young girl, is portrayed as a 10-year-old girl at first. That's how old she is. She's 10 years old. And I saw my daughter in her attitude, in her mannerisms, and I don't just mean like, I could connect with the story on that level. Like, the actress, the way that she was portraying the child, had all those mannerisms of an actual, real child and their reactions. And so did the teenage boy. Tom was Cooper's son. The child actors were on point. And if you start from there and you start making your way up, Matthew McConaughey delivers, I haven't seen Dallas Buyers Club, so I'm not going to say it's the performance of his career. But when it comes to big budget tentpole feature films, this is the performance of that aspect of his career. He's proven himself with Dallas Buyers Club. He's proven himself with True Detective. And, while I didn't see either of those, I knew that he won accolades and awards, so I confidently went into this film expecting a decent, if not good, performance. Instead, I was rewarded as an audience member with an amazing performance. Like, he is fearless. He throws himself into this film. Heart and soul, every single emotion, every single effort, every single bit of energy that comes out of him feels authentic, feels real, and feels wholehearted. He's a likable character. It's a likable performance. It's just brilliant. At least nominate him for an Oscar. That's all I'm asking for. Anne Hathaway was good. Her performance to me was very subtle. It wasn't over the top. It wasn't overacting. I like her as an actress very much. I've heard a lot of people talk about how Anne Hathaway overacts, and I don't know about that. You want to know who got me, though? Matt Damon. Fucking Matt Damon. He plays a character whose name is Dr. Mann, who was the one who organized all of the astronauts who went through the wormhole in the first place, searching for potential habitable worlds. And it turns out that out of all of them, he's one of the 3 few who's found a potential world that they could repopulate. And so they find him, but it turns out to be that he's kind of an asshole because his world isn't actually habitable at all. There's no way it could sustain life. He just kept hitting that button saying, yeah, come down, so he could find a way to get back up. People have said that this film is unlike Christopher Nolan's other films and that it is not a very cynical film. I argue that point. You have both Matt Damon and Michael Caine's characters. Michael Caine is Professor Brand. He's the guy who's like, Oh, we're going to get the world out. We're going to get people off from this world. And I can't take Michael Caine's voice, not as well as any other voice actor. I don't want to do it. My sinuses are killing me right now because there's snow and the cold front, and it hurts. So I'm not going to do it. But Michael Caine's character, Professor Brand, is, outside of Dr. Nolan, quite possibly the most cynical character in the film. And, my camera's slowing down. Oh well, I'm trying. Anyways, so, it's weird, I can see myself, and then I'm like, my mouth is moving. Yeah, I see it after the fact, whatever. I don't give a fuck right now. My sinuses hurt. But Michael Caine, as Professor Brand, presents Plan A and presents Plan B. Now, the thing with the two of those plans is that Plan A evacuates the Earth. We save people on Earth. Plan B is we just find a world where we can repopulate the species with fertilized eggs and embryos and grow them like vegetables, like in the Matrix, but not for batteries. So then, he never has any intent of seeing Plan A through. None whatsoever. It's ridiculously amazing to me that this storyline actually made it through. This is a big budget film in which one of the main characters, a scientist who says, we can save the world, is going, it was never gonna, on his deathbed, there's no redemption for this character whatsoever. Oh, my mind's back to normal, sweet. There's no redemption for this character whatsoever. Sinuses. They try to justify his actions by talking about how it is inhumane to take a step back and to not focus on our friends and family, to focus on the species as a whole, and that from an evolutionary standpoint, that's what we should be doing. But it's also argued that, we're giving up on everybody on the planet. Maybe they've had their chance. But it doesn't matter. You're saying that those lives are not worth attempting to save. When in fact, granted, the character of Dr. Brand, Professor Brand, he didn't have all the information he needed to finish the equation that allows them to manipulate gravity. So he just gives up. He doesn't have all the data, so he just gives up. And he goes, we're just going to repopulate the species, and then that's it. We'll let the Earth die. And everyone who's on it, they will die too. And that is harsh. That is cynical. Dr. Mann, Matt Damon's character, he is repeatedly called the best of us. Which, if you recall, in The Dark Knight, it is Harvey Dent who is repeatedly called the best of us by both Bruce Wayne and Commissioner Gordon, and ultimately it is he who is the one who falls and becomes the villain, the true villain, by the end of the film. I find it very interesting that Christopher Nolan's films would feature two separate characters, who are both inspiring and who are both heroes, who are called the best of us. And they turn out to be rotten assholes. Matt Damon's character is a rotten asshole in this film, and he got his comeuppance. Boy, did he get his comeuppance. But no, this is a cynical film. This is a cynical film, even though it believes in the hope of carrying on, even though it believes that love can cross time and space and dimensions, even though presenting love as a quantifiable force, even though it ends on an overwhelmingly positive note that we can band together and survive. It is very, very cynical because it gives us two people who are like, we can do this, we will do this, we can do this, we will do this, and immediately turn around and have it be discovered that their ulterior motives all along were selfish, were cynical, and not morally justifiable. I think Interstellar is a very cynical film. And I think that it does play on the nature of humanity. But at the same time, it's about humanity's two sides. You've got the cynical side. You've got the side that is selfish. You've got the side that doesn't believe in hope or survival ultimately, that doesn't believe in focusing on individuals, but instead focusing on the species as a whole. And then you've got the side that is hopeful, valuing individuals, valuing that love, valuing the idea that we can unite as a species, rather than going, well, we'll repopulate over there. But banding together and saying, all of us here, we can do this too. We just have to do it. We have to find a way. It is cynical and hopeful at the same time, and I appreciate that duality. I appreciate that so much, because there's like this undercurrent, this battle between the two, like which one is going to win out. And ultimately, they both win out. They both win out. Oh, it's slowing down, and I don't give a fuck. Ultimately, we have a movie in which humanity's survival is what matters. So Cooper ends up going back to try and see his family, to see his daughter, to see his son, because that's what matters to him as an individual, because that is where his love is taking him. And then Amelia, Dr. Brand's daughter, eventually goes off to repopulate the species because she knows, as a scientist, as a humanitarian, as a survivalist, that that is what needs to be done. Both sides win out. But they do not sacrifice the idea that humanity as it is, people as they are, that lives as they stand are unimportant. So it is a cynical film. I dare you to say it is not cynical, that it is just this hopeful movie. It is an emotional roller coaster. It is about that feel, because it is about love. And that sounds cheesy. It sounds so cheesy to say that. It's about love. It's about the love a father has for his children. It's about the love a man has for a woman. It has the love that is both platonic and romantic. But it is about love as a force. So it is about these emotions and quantifying it, as the film says, and trying to express it through visual, sound, and act. It's just an incredible experience. This is a great film, not just a science fiction film, not just whatever kind of genre that it needs to be mashed up into. This is a great film, and overall I enjoyed it. It is flawed. Like I said, some of the dialogue feels like statements, statements, like actual statements, not just like average character dialogue. It felt a little bit smoother the second time I saw it, but I don't think you should need to see it the second time for that kind of dialogue to feel smoother. But if you could get past it in Inception, then you should be fine here. But it is, like I said, it's a little cheesy in places. The dialogue is not the greatest, when it's trying to make statements, but the acting sells everything. The direction sells everything. If you can sell it to me, I'm in. So even though I still winced a couple of times, I was totally in. And so for me, Interstellar is a 9. Interstellar is a 9 out of 10. This is an experience. This demands to be seen on the big screen, especially in the IMAX. Now, the composition of the shots and the way that they used them in IMAX format was brilliant. It looks amazing in 70mm film. My only complaint that I had about seeing it in IMAX was, you've got my little screen here. So, imagine the way you see me right now, filling the IMAX screen. And then the very next shot, it's like, all of a sudden, black bars cut down into it. Now, the transition from the black bars to the screen, to the IMAX shots, was seamless. I never noticed the black bars going away. I did, however, notice the enclosure of the black bars when it returned to traditional standard format. I think that would be my only complaint about seeing it in IMAX. I can't wait for it to come out on Blu-ray so I can watch it again. I would love to go and see it a third time in IMAX. I absolutely would. The last film that I went and saw 3 times in IMAX was Gravity. Gravity was, This film is this year's Gravity, in that it is about the experience, it is about the emotions, it is about the feeling. But where Gravity was like a bullet train that just went, um, Interstellar is a roller coaster that has ups, loops, downs, incredible special effects, but will stop and take its time to climb and get to where it needs to go before it dips down again. Anyways, I've taken forever. I'm gonna but yeah. Anyways, I love the film. Like I feel sometimes when I'm talking about a movie I love, like I tend to ramble and wander more than I do when I'm criticizing a film, just because it's like, where do I turn next? Where do I turn next? It's just on a closing note, I just want to point out that the docking sequence, um, and if you've seen the film, you'll know which docking sequence. I will not spoil that. I'll talk about story spoilers all the time, but when it comes to the docking sequence, I will not spoil anything about it. But I was shaking. Like the second time I watched it it's just intense. This is an intense film in places, and it's not for the faint of heart. Whether if you're a weepy, I'm gonna cry movie type of person, will be woo. Because let me tell you, this movie got to me more than a couple of times. Anyways, thank you so much for watching my Geek review. I apologize for the. Is it back? Yeah, yeah, it's back. Okay, but my camera's back to normal now. No, it's not. No. Oh, I don't care. Lo-fi technology. I don't really have a proper webcam, but I should probably get one, especially if I'm going to be doing more of these. So, like I said, Interstellar is a 9 out of 10. This is going to go down as my favorite Nolan film. Just above The Prestige. Although The Prestige is a better movie, this is my favorite of his. It was a real amazing, immersive experience for me, and I love absolutely every minute of it, and I really, really can't wait to watch it again. It's just a tremendous accomplishment as a film, as a piece of cinema. The way the shots are composed, the special effects are so seamlessly interwoven into the practical effects. This is a piece of cinema like you would go and see back in the 70s. This is a film, like a piece of entertainment, not an art piece, not something independent that is meant to be like, something lower budget and like tries to connect you. This is a piece of entertainment, yes, but it is cinema. This is full, balls to the wall. We've got money, we're going to make as beautiful and brilliant a film as we can. Cinema. This isn't a popcorn flick like Age of Extinction. This is cinema, and it's beautiful. So, thank you so much for watching this. Please check out some more of my other My Geek reviews. This is a very divisive film, from what I understand. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you thought of it. I realize I'm kind of gushing here, but the film just totally hit me. It hit me, and I love movies like this. I love movies that are experiences. Like the story might suffer a little bit, but if the experience is there and it pulls me in and it makes me feel, that's the type of cinematic experience that I absolutely adore. And that is what this was. So, again, please leave your comments below. Let me know what you thought of the film. Let me know what you think about Nolan's direction, the score, the decisions behind this. While you're at it, I've got other things that I leave opinions on, and those are video games. Go check out the California Kings YouTube channel. We're playing a lot of fun games. It's me and my brothers, so we keep it real, and sometimes we keep it classy, but not always. So if you enjoy that type of thing, go check it out. But this has been my Geek review of Interstellar. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.